Figured I'd show a few things that I've 3D printed for some antennas. So this is an end-fed half-wave that I made. It's a 56:1 type 31, and it's specifically for 40 and 80 meter. 3D printed the box, and it actually it's got 49:1 right here, but I actually made this one a 56:1, and so I used my laser to put the writing on the box. This is something I found on Thingiverse. It did not have a place for ground, and it wasn't set up for the two side posts here. It was actually set up for this, and I just put some epoxy in the hole to fill that. I don't know if I like the way that one was set up anyway, but one of the things that I found is with these end-fed half waves, I've been putting a ring terminal on a wire and screwing it in, and it is depending on this to actually take the weight of the load. So what I wanted was a way to just have a jumper wire that comes over to the actual wire that is held on with something like one of these. So, you know, this is suspended from the tree or whatever it is. That hooks on to this, and then you have this. I don't have all the pieces yet. I'm actually going to laser cut some stuff tomorrow. But you can see what I've got here. So this is the actual one piece that I did. And I've just got a bolt that threads through there, and you can see where it sort of embeds into the plastic. And then I've just got two studs here. And the idea with this is I put I don't know what you would call that, but essentially what that gives me is if I'm using a speaker wire antenna, I can actually run it through there, and it clamps into this. So if I just want it to be an isolator, my speaker wire would come into this, you tighten it down, and then this is just a way to hook to the wire. So before I was just using, you know, whatever I had, electrical tape, but doing it this way, I can hook to it with a hook or a paracord or whatever and pull, and it holds it. And what that also gives me the ability to do is with my paracord going that way, I can hook to my speaker wire or whatever antenna wire that I'm hooking to here and have, you know, 3 or 4 feet that come out this way to allow me to trim and tune in to wherever I need to go without hooking to the end of the wire. So it gives me the ability to do that. What it also gives me the ability to do, I'm going to cut some steel pieces, or actually stainless pieces, that are basically this shape. So it's a stainless piece that's that shape, 2 holes in it, so I can slide it here, and if I wanted to tie, say, a 40 meter coming into this, and then an 80 meter coming in here, if I put that piece on it, it would tie the two together. So like your 80 meter would, you know, go here, and your 40 meter would go here, and then when you put the piece between them, it bridges the electrical whatever between these two. So it gives me the ability to use it as an isolator, or it gives me the ability to pull 2 pieces together and electrically connect them with the piece that I haven't made yet. But what I like about it is it gives you a pretty easy way to do that. I've been using this wire. This is just stainless steel braided wire for I don't know, whatever it is. It's really cheap. It's flexible. It's fairly lightweight, and it doesn't have a jacket. It's pretty strong, so it's actually worked out pretty well for some antennas that I've been building. But it's hard to connect to. So if I want to electrically connect to this, what I have done is with this thing, you know, I'm just unscrewing the wing nut and putting it on there and kind of screwing it on, and I mean, it works, but I need a good way to tie to this. So if I've got one of these set up with the thing going in that way, so this is my antenna, and then I've got one of those metal pieces that go on, just say this is your metal piece here, it's going to actually hold this, and anything else I put on this is going to be electrically connected to it. So when I put my wing nut on this piece, I can run a jumper from this stud, which would be electrically connected to this, over to here. So just a little short jumper wire that will tie these two together. And then if I wanted to go to 40 meter, then it's just, then, you know, one of these would be on this end, just like this. And I've got two of these on here just so whenever I put the wire on it, which I'm going to cut this, whenever I cut the wire, I'll be able to connect one of these on this, and then one goes to the end of the wire, and then my paracord or whatever it is will allow me to connect to that. Now what I've done is I bought this. So I've been buying like 50 feet of wire, or sorry, paracord, but I figured this is like 300 and something feet of string, whatever, but it's strong enough to do a lot, I think, and it's a lot of it. So if, say, I need to get to a really far tree, it's high visibility, and there's a lot of string on that, and it's like $4. So I'm going to throw that into my little MCOM case to give me a way to get stuff in and out of trees and things like that. So this gives me a way to tie all this together. It's cheap. It's just a couple of bolts and wing nuts, and some PLA is what I use for this, just to test it. I did figure out that my holes were a little too big, so I had to drill them out to make it work. But overall, I think it's a really quick and easy way to pull all this together, and it's pretty strong. So it seems to work pretty well. And I've got a bunch of these little hook things that I'll put with it. So I made a bunch of them so I can use them in different places. But the next thing I'm going to do is cut like 130 something feet of this to make myself an 80 meter. Or I may just make it 40 first, make it a 40 meter, and then another piece. So basically you would have your thing here, this connects to your 40 meter. One of these goes between the 40 meter and an 80 meter piece and ties it together. So in the middle of it, if you have, I need to get a camera that I can actually put on my head or something. You don't have to use this. If I just want to tie my 40 to my 80, then I could do that, throw the wing nuts on there, and of course, you know, with that metal piece that I've got to laser cut tomorrow, then it ties those two together. So you'd end up with 3 of these. So you'd have one connecting to the transformer, one connecting the 40, or one at the end, and one at the middle that connects the 40 to the 80. And you would just have 2 sections of 60 some odd feet of this stuff that would connect together, and it would connect together really well. I also bought these so I can trim it. So what I've done is, you know, it came with these little ferrule things that you can buy. I'll just drop. Oh, there it is. But it came with these ferrules, and that's how I put them on there. The problem is you can't trim it after you put those on. So, unless you cut them. So that's what these are going to be. So I can try, and it's actually for 1/8 inch wire, but that's all I found. I want to find a smaller version of that somewhere. But that'll give me a way to do that. And honestly, this has been really good wire. I bought all kinds of different antenna wire. I bought all kinds of speaker wires and things like that. But this stuff works really well. Right now, that's the main antenna that I'm using is an infed for 40 meter with this wire. And I've been able to get all over the place with a pretty quick, pretty simple end-fed antenna using stainless steel wire. Now, I realize that it's not as conductive as copper, but from what I can tell, as long as I'm putting 20 to 100 watts in it, it does great. It's not been an issue at all. Maybe I'm losing a little bit of my efficiency in it, but what it might lose a little bit in there, it gains in its ease of handling. It's weather resistant. You don't have to worry about the jacket coming off because it don't have one. And what I like about this is at some point I'm going to put this on a spool similar to this, but it'll be a metal spool or a stainless spool to where I can spool in and out for either an end fed with one or a dipole where you have two spools that's spooling this wire out to give yourself, an adjustable either end fed or dipole antenna. So I think I'm going to build an end fed first. But another thing that's really nice about this, and I think I mentioned it before, is this stuff is really cheap. It's like $40 for 600 feet. And that's cheaper than just about any electrical wire that I have used by far. And again, for the antenna, according to ChatGPT, it is not as conductive as copper, but at the, if I was putting 1500 watts through it, it would be a problem. But putting 100 to 20 watts through it, and anywhere in that vicinity, it doesn't seem to affect anything, and it's not as big of a deal. So hopefully that's the case. But man, I'm telling you, I love having a 3D printer to be able to make this kind of stuff. I've been buying the little, what do you call them? These things off of Amazon originally, but then, I realize I've spent some money for the hardware. You can get a bunch of these for $8 or $10. I've already got a bunch of this stuff. I got a big pack of wing nuts for $6 or something like that. So being able to build these yourself and make whatever box you want, so I've got this one. I've got this one that I've tried, and really being able to wrap the toroids yourself. So when I put them together, I'm a little more picky about how they go together. The ones that I've bought, if you open them up and look at the toroid, it's not great. They're usually not wrapped well. They don't have tight wrapping. Where these, I can put them together. I can make sure that it stays together well. And from what I understand, this is the more efficient winding, where it wraps like this. I think they call it auto winding, where you tap. Where the other kind, where it's 7 here and then you come over here and then it's 7 more here, I think you get a little bit more insertion loss in those, from what I understand. So I've been wrapping them this way, and these seem to be the more efficient way to do it. This is another Type 31 toroid, and this is a 43. So these are some that I'm going to put together at some point. But being able to put all this stuff together and build whatever I want, it's been kind of nice. And it's a lot cheaper, especially if you're trying stuff. So, this is between 49 to 1 and 64 to 1. I wanted something that was kind of in the middle there, and that seems to work pretty well. So, just something I'm trying. And, again, you can wrap them the way you want to wrap them. I can try multi-tap stuff. I can add different capacitors. So with this one, I've got 2 capacitors, and I've got it set essentially to where I think these are 100 picofarad capacitors, and if I flip up one way, it's 100 picofarads. If I flip the other way, it puts them in series, which actually halves that, so it goes from 100 picofarads to 50 picofarads. So I have the option of those, or if I just go here in the middle, no capacitance at all. So it gives me the ability to sort of tune in a little bit better, and this gives me the ability to pick whichever tap I want to pick. So starting off at 49 to 1, 56 to 1, 64 to 1, and so on and so forth. So anyway, that's just something I wanted to show you. If anybody wants the files for these or anything, I can send them to you in a SolidWorks or an STL or a STEP or whatever. So just let me know in the comments or send me a message, I guess. But just kind of a quick way to put wires together for antennas that I can pretty well easily do. And they're either insulators. So another thing I thought about this is, okay, so you got these two together. So you could put one wire here for, like, this is your 40 meter, this is your 80 meter. And then when you put this together, you could have a switch that could put these together if you wanted to, or actually you would put something here. And I'd actually considered like a ceiling fan switch that was wired in right here that, you know, just bridged this gap here. And you could literally have this 30 feet up in the air, or however many feet you can get it, and have a string hanging down with a ceiling fan switch here, and you could literally switch and connect or disconnect this for 40 and 80 meters. Not sure that would work, but I might give it a shot and try it. But that way you could just literally go over halfway down your antenna, pull a string, and flip it to 80 meters or 40 meters at will. And, you know, it's literally just these two tied together. So you could use it as an insulator, or with the metal piece that I haven't cut yet. Again, I'll cut that tomorrow. You just, you know, put your two things here, drop your metal piece on, put this on, put your wing nuts on, and it ties everything together beautifully. So just something I thought was interesting. So you guys have a good day.